What's the president say why we're going to surge troops? He said, surge troops, why? So we give the parties breathing room. To do what? To get together and form a unity government. What do my Democratic friends say? They say draw down or freeze or change or whatever. What for? To force the Iraqis to realize they have to do what? Get together and form a unity government. Ladies and gentlemen, not in the lifetime of anyone in this room will there be a unity government in Baghdad trusted by the people of Iraq. It will not happen. And that's why I offered several years ago, and why most of the foreign policy scholars now are agreeing with me, and many Democrats are joining me, and many Republicans. And it's a simple proposition. All of history shows where there has been a self-sustaining cycle of sectarian violence, the only way to end it other than with chaos is to separate the parties. Have a weak central government that controls the borders, has control over the currency, make sure that the wealth of the nation is divided, in this case oil, but allow the regions, the Sunnis, the Shia, the Kurds, control over the fabric of their daily lives, their own police forces, their own laws on marriage, divorce, education, the very things that are causing them to kill one another. Make sure that you share the oil revenues and begin to make Iraq the world's problem by having an international conference called by the world leaders at the United Nations, the Permanent Five, to bring the parties together to impose this settlement. And you say, why the hell would they do that? They're not going to. They will do that. Because guess what? The rate we're going, Iraq is going to splinter apart, not in 3 pieces. It's going to break along tribal lines. You're going to have 5 different Shia militias vying for ascendancy. You're going to have several Sunnis, tribal chiefs ascending. You're going to see splits in Kurdistan. You're going to see Turkey invade to take out the Kurds. You're going to see Iran move in. You're going to see a regional war that will make this war look like patty cakes. And guess what? When I spoke to the French ambassador at the United Nations, the Russian ambassador, the Chinese ambassador, they get it. They get it because guess what happens? This place disintegrates. You saw what happened in France last year. They were burning automobiles from Marseille to Normandy. 14% of their population is Arab, Muslim. Imagine what happens with the radicalization of that part of the world for them. Imagine what happens in Germany when 500,000 Kurds beat a path to the door because they're being invaded by the Turks trying to take them out because of 4 million Kurds living in their eastern mountains. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to do us any favor, these countries. But they know if this thing blows apart, they're all in trouble. And this president has no notion how to begin to make this the world's problem and not just ours. But ladies and gentlemen, this is not the only war this president is waging. This president is waging a war on labor's house. This president is waging a relentless war on labor from the day he took office. I remember even some of the international union presidents were a little skeptical of my saying 6 years ago, your president was not one of them. They were a little skeptical when I said, these guys have their eyes on the prize. The prize is to take the rest of you out. Why? You are the only group of Americans standing between average Americans and the total takeover of the major corporate interests of this country. You are the only ones keeping the barbarians at the gate. Think of what this administration talks about from day one. When the world's going to hell in a handbasket, when they're in real political trouble, they never take their eye off the ball. What has it been? They call for 3 things from day one. Labor reform, translate it. Make it harder for unions to exist and organize. Tort reform, translate it. Don't allow little people to sue big corporations. And court reform, translate it. put on a business-friendly court that will redo the social contract that we fought for the past 60 years. And you think I'm exaggerating? Look at what this Supreme Court just did. I caught hell for being so tough on Roberts and trying to stop Alito. Problem is, my Democratic colleagues weren't tough enough. Look what they just did. Look at what they just did. A little decision went unnoticed. For the past 70 years, there's been a law in a reading of the antitrust laws. It said that if you're a manufacturer manufacturing widgets, you can't, when you sell those to the retailer, tell the retailer what he has to charge for them. You sell him at $3 a widget, he can sell it for $3.01 if he wants. You say you have to sell it at $4 a widget. We've always said, no, you can't dictate what that price is. What did they just do after 70 years? This Supreme Court just changed, and no one paid attention to it. Just changed the law saying no. The wholesaler can dictate the price the retailer sells. Guess what that means? Let me just put it in common everyday terms for middle-class families like the one I come from. It means, as Justice Breyer said, that the average cost of just doing everything from buying your clothes to fixing your car is going to go up for the average American about $1,400 a year. Ladies and gentlemen, this administration is all about one thing: transferring power from the powerful to the very powerful. And you stand in the way. You are the only outfit. Organized labor is the only reason there is a middle class in America. You are the middle class in America. You are the house that built our neighborhoods. You represent the reason why this country has succeeded, the reason for America's ascendancy. That's not hyperbole. I'm not saying that because I'm before a union. Ask my guys who are here from Delaware. I say this before the Chamber of Commerce. I say this before everybody who will listen to me. The only reason white-collar, non-union workers have had any protection is because of the union movement in America. That is the reason. And ladies and gentlemen, excuse my frustration, but I'm tired of Democrats talking about working men and women. Why can't they say the word union? Union. Union. Just plain old union. Think about it. How many times you hear that word come out of the mouths of public officials? It's been made to sound like the word liberal. You don't say it. Well, guess what's happened, folks? All those white-collar workers who didn't want to be part of this blue-collar ascendancy, all of a sudden they're figuring out those major companies they invested their trust in are throwing them overboard as fast as they can. As fast as they can. And all of a sudden, they're beginning to figure out they need some protection. So the point I want to make to you today is, although this administration has been lined up 10 deep to reduce the percentage of union employees in America, we not only have an opportunity to stop that slide, I really believe, Mr. President, we have an opportunity for the first time in the last 60 years to begin to change the trend, not just to stop it, but to reinvigorate and build a much broader, bigger, more inclusive union movement in America in the 21st century, because now, those average folks out there who wore white collars know they need you.